Sobhita, I want to start, of course, by talking about Made in Heaven, the new show, the new series on Amazon Prime that you're a part of, that you're actually headlining. You know, I want to start by asking you what drew you to that character Tara. But before I ask you, I want to tell you what I thought of her.
Okay.
To me, she is the most interesting character in that show. I know that a lot of people love Jazz because she's so on the nose and she's so naive and she's so funny and spunky.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people love Karan. He's a very interesting layered character as well. But to me, Tara really kind of is the glue that holds the show together because she's the protagonist of the story. She's the emotional core, but she's also someone who you realize going sort of as you go along, she's not who she appears to be immediately. There is that scene, and I feel like now a lot of people have watched the show, so I feel
no
like we can
spoilers.
so I feel like we can have some spoilers, not major spoilers, but
Right.
you know, there is that moment. I won't go into detail, but there is that you sort of see her and you bring this element of mystery to her, and there's this stoicism. She's kind of not reacting in the way that you'd expect someone to react in that kind of situation. You wonder why. And then there is that moment where it's at her husband's factory opening that her mother and her sister turn up, and her reaction to them,
Yeah.
who are of course from the other side of the tracks.
Right.
And then you start to see, oh, this woman is not exactly what she appears to be. What attracted you to Tara?
Personally, I thrive in playing characters that are more conflicted than I am.
Okay.
Because it stimulates me, because it's I want to feel like I'm punching above my weight. It's like, I had this thing as a teenager. It's like bite off more than you can chew and then chew like hell.
Right.
You know, I auditioned for Tara. When I actually auditioned, I had no clue. I was just told that, oh, it's a story about this young girl and this guy and koi married lady hai.
Right.
I'm like, married lady, okay. And I auditioned for it with Nandini Shrikant and the team, and I read the scene and I'm like, wow, it's a scene that 5,000 crore scene.
Right.
First episode, so I was just like, whoa, that's a strange protagonist. You know, not all vanilla and marshmallow.
Right.
I gave the audition and I didn't hear back until a month and a half. And then I was called back to Excel office. I was all like, oh my God, I'm meeting the filmmakers, excited. So I go there and I meet Zoya, and she tells me that, babe, I'd like for you to crack this because I think you really belong with this. I want you, so take your time, do a good job with the audition. And that's obviously very motivating because it's a filmmaker that every actor aspires to work with.
Right.
And I also met Nitya there. They're all a bit intimidating because they're all like this, you know, sophisticated, educated, learned women. And I'm like, oh God, in my head, I'm like freaking out. Childhood dream. But I gave the audition, and that's where I met Arjun also. He was also auditioning. This was a callback.
Right.
We did a look test also together. And also I think it helps me to not be too excited. So I was just like, this is not going to work out. This is not going to work out. And then
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, because I'd be really bummed. And then a week later, so Arjun and I had been talking, hoping, praying together that hope this works out. And we got a call that you're on board, and it was like, wow. And then we got the script, and once I started, I didn't stop until I reached the last episode. And I was like, wow, this is a rich world, a world so many like dynamics and so many, it was like chess, you know?
Correct.
Yeah.
They haven't treated me with any respect. Eventually, they're going to die, babe. And all that money is yours. 5,000 crores.
Is it very rare in this business? I think it is, and I'm an outsider. You know, I view it from the outside. It's very rare for an outsider, someone with no connections, to land this central role.
Yes. It is very difficult. However, because I got everything I've done so far, I got through an audition.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel secure because nobody can take it away from me.
True.
I do a good job, I do a poor job, it's still my own contribution.
Right.
At no point do I feel invalidated if someone doesn't approve of my work. Even if I do a not so good job, I still have had that learning experience which is my own.
Right.
So because I got it through an audition, I feel like it is hard until it isn't. But so far, let's see, I don't know.
It's also wonderful actually that it's sort of reassuring that there are a few places at least where merit counts, you know, where you can get, just the deserving people will get the jobs.
There is no other route.
Right.
I crack an audition or I go back home. So I think I've become an audition expert in the
Right.
sense that like I take auditions more seriously than I do a film set, I think, because that's where you face your shortcomings. If you don't get the part, that's where you realize, that's your litmus test,
Right.
to realize that this is what it takes or this is what didn't work for them. But once you're already hired, once you're on a film set, you just have to channelize your energies and synchronize them with the character and get along.
Right.
So auditions have been very, and I think everyone should audition in
Sure,
life. Like
yeah.
stardom should have nothing to do with
Correct.
auditioning.
But for some reason, people are offended when stars of some
Yeah.
sort of scale are offended when they're asked to
Yeah, and also
test.
writers and directors should hold their own so much more than they do, I think, because
Right.
I don't know why it is like in India the actors are like worshipped. We're like carpenters. We hone our craft and we execute emotions.
Correct. Everything that, or maybe everything's a strong word. Most of what you've done so far, perhaps has been so niche and experimental, or just not successful that. To a lot of people, I know that people who'd watch Made in Heaven, like, who's this girl? Who's this newcomer?
Yeah.
I mean, to a lot of people, they're discovering you through Made in Heaven. Is that the response you've got as well? I mean, I thought you were wonderful in Raman Raghav. You were just incredible in that film. But how many people watched it? Kalakandi even less.
Yeah.
I know that, of course, in Telugu cinema, you're they know you a lot better.
Which was a surprise.
But Gudachari was a
Huge hit.
huge
I
hit,
was
and you
just
were
like-
incredible in that. So here, were you? Is that the response you got? Were a lot of people like sort of discovering
Most
Sobhita through
people
this?
were like, where have you been? I'm just like, man, I've been around. No one was looking. you know. In the beginning, you don't choose what you want to be a part of. You can choose not to be a part of a certain project. Like I had this thing that, okay, fine, my father's not influential in this industry. He's
Yeah.
not a producer. He's not a politician. He's not a corporate head. He's not going to put in money. He may go to the theater and watch it.
And that you say he may.
He may. So I was like, I have to do as much work as possible so as to be relevant, acknowledged, because the community of people who watched Raman Raghav might not necessarily overlap
Right.
with the other projects. I keep telling like whoever, like my manager, if there's a film in Nagaland, I will do it.
Right.
If it's a good story, I will do it. I do not discriminate because they're all people, universal, like emotions are universal.
Yeah.
But I knew that when I come from the background of Miss India and modeling,
Yeah.
which was sort of like an exciting experiment for a young, like young 20s. So I was just like, oh, this is so exciting. So I was exposed to the beauty business.
Correct.
This really geeky, nerdy school captain NCC kid.
Is that true? Because I read that you said that
It
you said
is.
that actually you didn't. Books played a bigger role than films and television. In your
Absolutely.
home, that
I'm
most
very
of your
embarrassed.
crushes growing up were fictional characters.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing because often
No, that's a good thing.
people are like, there's this groups of people like really cool talking about films and world cinema. And I'm just like, I agree, right? And I have no clue what they're talking about. But I think that it helped me with imagination,
Right.
books, because I was not fed a narrative. I had the freedom to think up my own characters. So yeah, the films, because I came from the beauty business, I was afraid that I would be sort of looked down upon as, hey, another bimbet. Also,
Another beauty queen.
Yeah, and I didn't grow up feeling very confident about like, oh, I am beautiful. It was
Really?
not, yeah, I was very geeky, very nerdy. I was that kid people would throw paper balls at. I was at like my account teacher would call me the Undertaker because apparently I would sit like that and watch the blackboard. So I was the uncool kid in school.
Okay.
So I think, which is why the jump into the beauty business at the first opportunity, because I was like, I want validation.
Right.
But I didn't connect with it much. I thought I would like it, but I didn't. And auditions happened, and I realized this is so different, and I feel so challenged. And I got my first film, and that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Because Raman Raghav, the kind of director, the actors, the environment involved, and Anurag Kashyap is so honest.
And it's a
And
tough role for a first timer.
it didn't feel tough. I don't know why.
She's an incredible character. You wonder why she is in this sort of abusive relationship. There is love, but this is a guy who clearly doesn't know how to treat his woman.
Yeah, but I don't know why I was not shocked by it, which says a lot about our country.
Right. Right.
I know so many examples of. I'm constantly thinking of how people have it so much worse.
Sure.
So I think I never feel like this is terrible. Like I want to stand up for myself a lot more,
Sure.
both as an actor and as an individual. But the fact that a messed up character does not shock me
Right.
speaks something of our
It
socio-political
does.
situation.
It does. You've said that as an, in fact, I think it was an interview to the Quint, you said that you've never been too invested in the outcome, in the result of a job, in how a film fares. You're more sort of invested in the process.
Yeah.
You prefer to enjoy it, and you're pretty much disconnected. On the last day, you plug in your earphones and you're in an Uber while the rest of the cast is sort of partying. You're
Yeah.
heading back to explore the next challenge. Does this one feel different because it's something that's, in those cases also, in the case of say Raman Raghav, they weren't films that were widely watched. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was a loud appreciation.
Right.
But this is a show that's popped. That's everyone's talking about.
Not being attached to the outcome was less of a choice and more of a consequence.
Right.
Because Raman Raghav was not loved. Kalakandi was not loved. So when a film is not loved, performances are sort of invisible. So it's like I didn't exist really. So the social media validation that's coming with Made in Heaven's,
Yeah.
success, if I'm
Yeah,
take
it
myself.
is, of course, yeah.
As energizing as it is, I also know it's fickle. Because just 2 weeks before this whole frenzy began, I didn't exist to most people.
Yeah.
Like even if I did exist, I wasn't worthy of acknowledgement. So suddenly, I'm aware. So it humbles you. So I don't think I'm able to gauge the level of success.
I was going to ask you, has anything changed? Do you feel like there has been a, have you sort of enjoyed this? You feel like you haven't even been able to gauge it, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what's different. Like I've just been feeling, emoting, revealing, being vulnerable as a person, as an actor in the projects that I'm doing. This one happened, it so happens that this one has been watched by a lot more people.
Right.
So they suddenly feel like, there's some comments where people are like, in these films you were fine, but this one, you've killed it.
Right.
I'm like, maybe it's just in sync with your taste or the exposure so much more that I
Right.
had the opportunity to display.
Right. And she's such a central figure. I mean, it's hard to kind of...
I've barely been cast in projects where I had more than 20 minutes.
True, true.
So I'm like, hallelujah.
The other thing, of course, that everyone's talking about is Tara's fashion. You're sort of put together so beautifully that on that show.
Namrita Singh, she did the costumes. I think she did a fantastic job. And also, they've choreographed the character in such a way that everything was precise.
Right.
Everything was done to the last detail. And of course, you also embody the character.
But you're a great muse for those clothes. I mean...
I think I really enjoy belonging to different characters. That is my greatest motivation to be an actor.
What was the process of making the show like? I was speaking to some of the other actors, and they said they were holed up in this Ashoka hotel in, I think all of you
Eros.
were... Eros Hotel,
Eros,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Eros Hotel in Delhi for a bunch of months.
5 months, I think.
Someone, in fact, described it as a big brother, a big boss kind of
Yeah.
show, because it was like everyone kind of pulled together.
It's like Jim would say that, he's walked in August and there's people by the pool eating breakfast. He's walked in October, it's the same people by the pool eating breakfast. So he's like...
Nothing changes.
Yeah. It has been a very character building experience for me because these are all actors who are very, very good at what they do. Also very, so there is a lot of competition that's healthy. And also I think I was very young. And young is not an age, young is the experiences you've had
Right.
or the lack of it. So I was constantly trying to level up and belong. Because they would talk about films, they would talk about music, they talk about remember that, but there was these constant conversations and I'm trying to belong.
Right.
So it also resonated with my character. This constant striving to be accepted, to belong to people who you admire,
True.
who you live with, work with. So
Were there enduring friendships built? Because two things can happen when you're in this sort of pressure cooker environment. Either there are great friendships built, or there are sort of you realize that we're not all similar. We're not all.
No friendships built. We're all colleagues, and I think everyone has a lot of respect for each other's work. In a way, we're all like immigrants into this city of Bombay. We all come from different places, trying to make a living out of our passions. So you can't help but be fair when it comes to work and work alone.
Work alone. Okay. Do you have favorite moments? Tara's favorite moments? I mean, do you have like the perhaps?
I
things that-
like all my flashback parts.
Yeah.
You know, that constant like that, like, you know, like, hello sir and all of that.
Right.
You know, that just when the effort shows,
Yeah.
when she's not effortless.
Correct.
When she's really like smiling, and while she's smiling, she's also thinking, am I looking nice?
Right.
Does he like me? Is he present? So that constant thinking in different tracks at the same time, I think was so, she was so needy,
Yeah.
so seeking approval, and it was so nice because that's most people. Of course, she's the same even after, in the
Right.
present day, but she's still more held back.
That's right. She's sort of, yeah, she's kind
Yeah.
of put together
Like-
slightly better. She's put this face on.
In
that-
my present life right now, I'm, say, if I disagree with somebody, I'm more likely to probably not argue with them.
Right.
I'm probably closer to, say, a present day Tara. Most
Right.
people, I'm saying.
Right.
The earlier one is so much more like, you know, it's a version of jazz only, actually. Jazz
That's
on
interesting way to put
steroids.
it, right.
Yeah.
On steroids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one of the moments I really enjoyed, and I want to ask you about that, is the one where Tara trashes Faiza's home.
Cathartic.
I was going to ask, you know, and I love the bit where she says, "I'm sorry,"
Yeah.
in response to her sorry. What does it take, you know, moments like these, which are clearly big moments? I mean, this is obviously a moment that is an emotional high. It's what is that like to perform? And are you in her head at that time? Are you sort of inside Tara's head?
I am almost always in character once I start shooting for something. I mean, it's not a conscious choice,
Right.
but I start to behave like her. My real life choices. So, like how people say method acting, where
Yeah.
in their real life they try to incorporate elements of the character. For me, it's the other way around. I start playing a character and I become like her, which is a bit scary.
Right.
You know, when we were doing that scene, it was sort of like a one take thing, we were aiming for that. So I remember when I had to throw these wine glasses, I did not realize. So it's like I was supposed to push the glass away.
Right.
Instead, with so much,
Vacuum.
I slapped the glass, so it cut into my hands, and I started bleeding, and I had no idea until I thought it was wine,
Right.
really red wine.
Really, right.
I didn't realize it. Also, halfway through, when I'm tearing that painting apart,
Yeah.
I don't think we had copies. You know, so I was tearing apart and I'm looking at the painting, I'm like, this painting looks like me.
Right.
You know, so it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable because we don't get the opportunity to be violent.
Yeah.
That's a weird way to put it, not opportunity. I
Right.
mean, like we don't
yeah.
want to be that. We censor ourselves because that's not the right thing to
Hold
do.
back. Yeah. Do you believe that Adil loves Tara? Where do you stand in, you know, because it's clearly a complex relationship, that whole
Yes.
triangle.
Yeah.
You feel like he had to have loved her at least a little to marry her. Of course, it's a rebound and all of those things, but he had to have loved her in the beginning. But where we leave them, or the point where he's conflicted, or he appears to be conflicted.
I feel like he was charmed at a certain point.
I get that.
You know, even after the hookups in the beginning,
Right.
when she decides to hold back and she
Yeah,
rejects him, she's like no, and with the father, she's like no, sir, I love him. So I think he's charmed and he's awed by the sincerity. So I think from both of their ends, it's like a calculated compromise
Right.
where they feel like this works, this doesn't work, this make do.
Right.
So we all strive for unconditional love, but in most cases it is conditional because these are the things I like about you, these are the things I don't like about you. So don't do this. Now it irritates me.
Right.
Even in real life, when we have relationships, certain traits they tick us off. So we try to cut that down in that other person. So most times love is conditional and we strive towards unconditional love. So I think there is love, but very love by choice. I don't know if that is love, but seems like it.
Right. What was Jim like to work with? I have to say, I was very proud. I was you know, because the two
We
of you
met
were
on this
on our round table. Both of you were on our newcomers round table a few
Yes.
years ago, and I was like, oh, both my actors are. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, did you all have to, you know, when you're playing characters that are that intimate or that know each other so well? is there there's some amount of chemistry that's required. How does someone, is that in the writing and you sort of, you're great actors, you're able to build it, or is there workshopping? Is there some time you'll spend together? What?
No, actually, I think he was one of the last actors we cast. So we started shooting. So all of our scenes were sort of done in clusters,
Right.
across different episodes.
Right, with different directors.
With different directors. So sometimes it would be like 9th episode, flashback, and then the second scene is the first episode, introduction. So after a point, and there are like 4 directors, 4 DOPs came in and went, and my flashback. So it was thrilling because it demanded me to be present.
Right.
I had to pay attention.
Correct.
I had to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And that's great because the last time I remember that I was in school. When you feel accountable. I felt accountable to the script. Jim, I don't know, we didn't need much workshopping or conversation. Like, it was interesting because there have been a couple of disagreements while we were shooting. So we would do it a certain way and that wouldn't work for him. And so I think there were a couple of scenes where I somehow ended up doing it his way.
Right.
And it made me realize that I don't know if I agree with it, but it's still different. And how can I limit the character to my understanding? So
Right.
now when I watch the show, it does not occur to me that I ever disagreed with that.
It feels like this was the natural
because
choice.
I mean, maybe that's Tara.
It's working, right.
So disagreements are great because it makes you think. Because when you want to argue, you have no choice but to reason.
Right.
So it was interesting working with him because he's not like someone who he questions.
Right.
And he argues and
It's
it's stimulating.
Right.
Yeah, and we didn't need workshop. I think it happened naturally.
The most sort of key relationship in the show really is between Tara and Karan,
Yes.
because they're these friends, and I think it's beautiful that this is this platonic relationship, of course, and they are comfortable enough, and this relationship is comfortable enough for them to be frequently nasty to each other and yet survive it. I mean, it's, one of my favorite moments is in Jaipur, I think, when they're in the car and I think you've just been heartbroken. You say something to him, he says, I see your heart is broken, but the claws are still, the heart can be broken, but the claws are still sharp. Or something. Did you enjoy that? Did you, did you enjoy watching this relationship? Did you enjoy reading this relationship? And what was it like to build it?
I did. I was so deprived of relationships that are platonic.
Right.
That are shown with as much goodness and badness.
Correct. Correct.
Because relationships, either like friendship is just like, oh, I'll die for you.
Right.
Or there's like, I don't know, it's so much more black and white.
Yeah.
So this script allowed for grayness, which is probably the richest color in cinema. So I really enjoyed it. It is beautiful when you have the freedom to be foolish with somebody.
Correct.
That really speaks a lot of how much they trust each other.
True.
Like I love you enough to hurt you.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
it makes sense.
It's
it makes
freeing.
complete sense. Yeah.
It was great. I really love the bond.
Sobhita, judging by the success of the show, judging by the
I feel so strange on
just
the
to hear
success of
it
the
is.
show.
It's clearly successful.
The S word in my life.
But, judging by the way that the filmmakers have been speaking, it seems quite inevitable that there will be a season 2.
I think there is.
There is, right?
I feel like, because we all are contractually bound for 2 seasons.
Right.
So I was like,
Do you have an idea of where Tara goes from here? Because we leave her at a very interesting sort of point.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of where she goes, and what left to you, where would you like to see sort of the route that she takes?
At first I was thinking, who's going to be pregnant, Tara or Faiza?
Correct.
And there's so much more to explore in terms of how Tara and Karan became friends.
Yeah, that's right. There's very little of that backstory.
Yeah, because how is there such lack of judgment?
Right.
Where
did they get to that point?
How is Tara, who comes from the fringes, so liberated from judgment? How is she so secure? And so where did that come? How didn't she disagree with his casualness towards life? So that I'm curious about. Also, there's so much more to explore in terms of where her insecurity leads her now, because it can lead you everywhere.
Sure.
So I think it was a joke on set where they were like, season 2 should be in another country, so our hair and makeup will last longer. So it's not as a human. I don't know. Actually, I'm excited. I hope season 2 happens and it happens soon. And I hear they're ideating.
Right.
So it looks bullish, and I hope it happens.
What effect do you believe this show will have on the film career? I mean, how will, what changes? What will change, hopefully?
People know my name, even within the industry, which I think is a beginning.
Really?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Or I don't know, maybe people know of your existence and they deny it. I don't know. But now, like, I don't feel as lonely in a party.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm, if not admired, I'm respected.
Yeah.
And that is so nice. That's so welcoming and so warm. And that'll only happen with work. So I hope I'm able to, I hope the show branches out into better work opportunities, where I'm able to be a part of stories that are honest. That also, I think 2 years ago when I started out, I was more eager for people to trust me for the skill I bring to the table.
Right.
I was afraid to be written off as, oh, another model types.
Right.
I was very afraid, because not only did I think that I grew up with not being the pretty girl. So
Well, hard to believe, but okay.
no, but it's true. None of my crushes in school gave me any attention ever. So I only trusted knowledge. I only trusted skill. I only trusted learning. I still do, because that will not leave you in the middle of the night saying I don't feel like cuddling anymore. So when I did Raman Raghav, I wanted the validation where people would take me seriously as an actor, would respect my work, what I bring to the table. Now I feel much more secure, because I feel like through Raman Raghav, Kala Kandi, Telugu film Goodachari, which did really well.
Yeah.
So I feel like, okay, fine, I'm not doing something wrong. I'm making choices that are experimental, that are niche, that don't bring me money.
Right.
Hopefully
that'll change too.
Yeah, I hope so. Everyone wants to live
Of course,
well,
yeah.
but not at the cost of doing things that make you unhappy. Then I'd rather be a banker and make more money.
Right.
So yeah, I hope now I'm secure enough as an actor that even if I'm thrown in a completely outlandish mainstream film, I feel like I'm not going to feel small or judged. I just
Right.
think I'm much more secure as an actor, because I feel like people know a little bit that, okay, she can
Yeah.
pull something off, or she can at least maybe. So I'm not written off as, as someone who can be replaced in 2 years by someone younger, prettier.
Right. You've actually said that when you were modeling, that period that you were modeling, you were constantly made to feel like you're not fair enough, you're not North Indian enough.
Yeah.
Did that have sort of enduring effects? I mean, did that?
It did. I mean, also I was I think 20 around the time I was Miss India, and modeling 21, 22. Raman Raga happened at 23.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very young, very impressionable, and I still am. I'm very easily influenced, and I don't know if I have self-worth issues, but I'm very trusting. So, and I tend to look up to people very soon, because I feel like everyone's amazing. I suck. I don't know why I'm like that. Yeah. So you feel insufficient. You feel like you're not enough. So the only way I was like, okay, the only way I'm going to feel enough is by doing work that can't be undone, because my skin will age, I will get wrinkles, my hair will fall. Then what? Then who's going to tell me you look nice? And how will that make my day? I just didn't trust that. I don't trust anything that. That's what I was saying. Like the other day, I was saying, capitalistic things.
Yeah.
I can't bank on it. I can't bank on social media. I can't bank on people telling me. When I do work and it's put out there and people resonate with it,
Yeah.
I feel secure. That gives me peace.
Now, you're not from Mumbai originally. Your family home, your parents' home is in Hyderabad.
Visakhapatnam.
In Visakhapatnam, I'm sorry. They still live there.
Yes.
How has this sort of, what is their response to this, to the show, to the feedback since the show, the success of the show, the fact that people know you now?
I don't think they
They have watched it, right?
No, my father hasn't, because apparently the Wi-Fi was down. I'm like, okay. And my mother saw it, and she's not very tech savvy. So she saw the first episode, then she saw the ninth, and then she saw something in the middle, and she's like, it's a little confusing. I'm like, I'm sure. And they don't speak Hindi.
Right.
So my parents are as much an audience to my life as anybody else, and they have no clue, because they're also not big on films or entertainment.
Correct.
It was discouraged as a child.
Right.
Also, like, we didn't have a cable connection because focus was on academics. My sister, who's now finished her MBBS, who says she's taking up radiology and also, I'm officially the black sheep of the family. So I don't know. I hope they take pride.
But do they worry less because they feel like she seems like she's secure now? She seems like she's got her act together.
They are secure. They are more relaxed in the sense that I look less.
Right. They take the cue from you.
I look less afraid.
Right.
I seem more calm. I'm assuring them, so that at least they feel like, okay, fine, she can handle herself. She's not like some wreck in a big city who's scared and been thrown around.
Right.
So that way, but not in the sense that like they don't understand where I stand in my career, because it's alien to them. So whatever I tell them is what they consume. Also, because I come from a more simple upbringing, like an upper middle class family in a small town, success is in tune with how much money you bring.
Right.
So that's yet to reflect. So I think that's when that happens is when they will feel like, okay, fine, she's doing well, because they don't understand it. Because critical acclaim doesn't pay bills, you know.
That's true.
So yeah.
What do you do when you need to get away from it all? When it's all very overwhelming, like you said, frequently is. What do you do? Do you travel?
I travel by myself. Go to like random places, but mostly I read. I read a lot. I spend 1 hour cleaning my house every day. I don't have any help, and that's my restoration time. I like bartan, jhadu, pocha, laundry.
Nice. It sort of keeps you grounded, right?
I don't know any other.
Way.
Yeah. I feel really good. I don't know, as a child, it was very important for me to be self-sufficient, emotionally, physically, like in every way. I didn't want to be told. I was like, if my parents, who had so little when they were young, had given me a good life, a good education, the freedom to dream,
right.
how much better should I be making of my career?
Right.
So I was constantly aware of that. So I was always pushing myself, maybe being a little hard on myself often, but I was always striving to be better. So I think I'm very self-sufficient, and that also bothers a lot of people, because they don't know how to help you.
Correct.
You know, everyone loves a young sad girl.
Correct.
You know, and it's hard to love someone who's aware.
More power to you. I have to end by asking you to recount the story. It's a full circle, right? Very few people know this. You just Made in Heaven, of course. Zoya Akhtar is the creator, but you did sort of briefly, for a few minutes, apparently, work with her long time ago, or not so long time ago.
So when I got this is funny. I got my first film, Raman Raghav. Around that time, I got a call at 11:30 in the night saying, "Says I'm auditioning for an ad," and I had given thousands of ad auditions in my life, and I knew it would not work out because I'm not fair, I'm not North Indian, I'm not bubbly. So I'm like, but they're like, Zoya Akhtar ki audition. I'm like, kya baat kar rahe ho? I ran to the audition studio 11:30 at night. Some audition for some car brand, something. Regular whatever script of this girl who's smitten by this guy as he's driving by, and then he gives her a lift, and I was like, okay, fine. And then next day I get told that you're on board, you're locked, you're doing this. I'm like, oh wow, I've arrived, I'm doing an ad. So next day it's in Goa. So I'm quickly packing my bag. I reach Goa and I meet Zoya, and she can be intimidating because you put her on such a pedestal that you're just like, oh my god. And she was so nice and so warm and so assured. I don't see many women like that, you know. So the next day we shoot, and it's with Varun Dhawan, the ad. The next day we shot some footage. It was 3 days. The next day we shot some footage, and the camera there was some damage because while we were driving the car. It was rigged to the car. There was some damage, so we had to halt. We had to pause the shoot. We had to resume the next day. So the client saw some of the footage and they were like, "No, this girl is not working. She looks confident. It doesn't work for us." So I was fired from a job because I looked confident.
It's amazing.
So I was very confused because I was like, are you complimenting me and telling me to leave?
Right.
And after that Zoya saw Raman Raghav. So it's an interesting beginning.
So you didn't end up doing that ad?
I didn't end up doing that ad. I think they were looking for another girl who looked more demure, more coy and more, I don't know, easy to like.
Right.
Eventually I think they cast a dog.
You were replaced by a dog.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about it still, but okay, never mind. So yeah, I found my closure with Zoya Akhtar.
She made good. But Sobhita, what a wonderful performance! I think I really think you brought you brought a whole different dimension to the leading lady in a sense.
Thank you.
You can view her in a complete, one can view the leading lady in a completely different way. I think that's certainly a result of extraordinary writing and extraordinary performance. I really think and just the beauty of watching someone like that and not judging her. I think that's so important because it's so easy to judge her and kind of, and then it's no service to anybody because she's just such an interesting character.
It is her flaws that make her real.
That make her who she is, and that make her sort of relatable. She resonates because you feel like, I know these people.
Yeah,
This
people may not admit to being that way, but
Correct.
so many women I know write to me emails, saying, it's so relatable. I would not say this on Instagram or Twitter, but I'm telling you on an email.
Right.
It's so empowering to know you're not alone.
True.
And you can be flawed.
Yeah.
And you can still go on.
True. Cannot wait to see where Tara goes from here in season 2. Looking forward.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Many congratulations. Here's looking forward to lots more. This is just really the world sort of discovering Sobhita. Looking forward to lots more.
You.
Also, Sobhita, just to say thank you for your incredible work. A little gift which will hopefully be of great use in your travels. We've got a gift hamper for you from GoPro. It's the GoPro 7 gift hamper. So
fancy.
Please enjoy lots of
I
travel
love
videos.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.